like what we have going on in California and Washington State.
Hey, Amy. Yeah, I mean, so if the lives of actual rapists are not getting ruined, well, why would we think the lives of, people who are falsely accused are getting ruined? There's just no evidence for it. There's a lot of fear mongering about it, but there's no actual evidence. And in fact, when we look at what are the large public examples of this, if you're a white dude who's been falsely accused, you're not likely to suffer really any repercussions because there's lots of white dudes who are actually accused who have done it and nothing happens. Like you literally have Donald Trump running for president and he has a liability finding in the civil court that he had raped someone. No one cares.
Yeah, that is a little crazy.
Like it's
Okay,
crazy. You
I see
literally
your,
have, and
I
then
do
you
see your
also had
point.
that rapist who is in the Olympics, who raped a 15-year-old child, and he's in the Olympics. Like that's like what the fuck? Like that's just
That's
wild.
yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. So,
That
I just think it's overstated. Honestly, I think that there's a lot of guys who do dodgy stuff. Some of them knowingly, some of them not knowingly, and I think that guys are scared of being called out on their dodgy, grapey sort of stuff. And when I mean dodgy, grapey kind of stuff, look, I think that there is a lot of guys who are conditioned at a young age to think that women don't want sex, which I think is really not true. And that when a woman is like not really interested, that we push. And we're sort of conditioned to do that when it comes to dating, right? Like we're meant to be the aggressors. And if the woman's saying no, just keep pushing because they're shy or something. And so I think there's a lot of people who are like taught that pushing through and sort of trying to convince a person to do something, that is just part of having sex with women. And I think that as they get older, they start realizing, oh, actually, women like to fuck. Maybe I don't have to do that stuff. And I think that they get really defensive looking back at their younger years, thinking, did I do stuff that was bad? And then they start getting really protective. And so when they hear of guys being accused for stuff, they're like, oh, I'm not going to believe that shit because they don't ever want to be accused. At least that's my theory. Otherwise, why is it guys are terrified of false allegations? Because like I'm not. Like if you've lived a decent life, like why would you be scared of a false allegation? You're more likely as a man to be raped. You're more likely to be raped than you are to be falsely accused. So like why is anyone afraid of being falsely accused? It makes no sense.
so. I mean, I don't know your age in comparison to mine. I'm sure you're above 21, of course, but
Yeah.
I'm not doubting anything like that. I'm just saying I'm a little bit older than you, and there have been a few cases a long time ago. I haven't heard of any recently, but a long time ago there were a few cases of where a few. I hope you can say this on TikTok. If not, I apologize. A few black men were falsely accused of raping women, and they got sentenced to find out 10 years later, after they've been in prison for 10 years, that it was
You
false.
don't want Central Park 5?
That's one of them.
Yeah, so but you just pointed it out, right? That's not false allegations. There's a reason why all those examples are black men. Brian Banks, all black men.
Right?
Sean Oakman, black men. Because that's not about false allegations, that's racism. When we look at convictions, right, you know the common trope that people say that black people commit more crimes on average than white people. Well, when it comes to grape, white people commit more grape. 75% of
Oh, yeah.
rapists are white.
Oh,
So
yeah.
why is it we have so many examples of black men being pursued for sexual assault
You know
allegations?
what? I've never thought about it like that, but you're right.
And it's because of racism. Because like more white people do it, but when it comes to false allegations, it's almost always black people, which is why like people talk. Have you ever heard of Emmett Till?
No, I have not, honestly.
Hey, Tiana. He's a very famous example, unfortunately, of how horrible racism is. There's a movie about it as well, but basically, I think it was in the early 1900s where he was a young black boy, I think about the age of 13, and he was in a shop with a white girl. And, there's questions as to what was said or what wasn't said, but generally speaking, she said that he flirted with her, which is obviously inappropriate back
Back then,
then.
yeah.
right? And so she ended up telling people in the community, and he ended up getting killed. 13-year-old boy. And people will often be like, well, look at Emmett Till, see how bad false allegations are. But there was loads of white boys that happened to as well, and they didn't get hung. Because like the reason is racists are going to use anything they can in order to be racist. So it's not the false allegation, because if false allegations don't hurt white guys, then it's not the false allegation. That's just racism. Which is why, let me be clear, false allegations against a white guy, I'm going to assume a white guy did it. An allegation against someone who's black, I'm going to be a heck of a lot more hesitant. Because there's four factors that are commonly found with false allegations. One is a custody battle. The second is a divorce. The third is wealth. And the fourth is race.
Right.
So if you're a white guy who's not loaded and it's not your partner or your baby mama, then you very likely did it. And that's most rapists, by the way. That's most allegations. Most allegations are not against, the vast majority of allegations are not against your husband, like when you're doing a divorce. The vast majority are not against some rich person. The vast majority are not against black people. So the vast, vast majority of allegations in America are towards people who don't fit into those four criteria. Because, a lot of people will say like false allegations don't happen. Of course they do, right? But a lot of other people will say they happen all the time. And those people who say they happen all the time, they'll often say it's because the woman was scorned or the woman had her feelings hurt. And that's like, when you just like really think about it, like that's really fucking stupid. Like why would a woman do it because her feelings are hurt? But the reality is that there are actual reasons why. And those are the four reasons. Those are the four dominant reasons why it is false allegations happen.
Got you. We're pretty much in agreement. There's a small part which I think you agree with anyways. There is a small part which allegations could potentially ruin somebody's life.
They could. It's just that, like, do you have daughters?
I have one daughter, one son.
Yeah. So, great. So you can see it from both perspectives. So you'd be scared, right? But like, what are you more scared of? Do you worry all the time about your son getting falsely accused, or do you worry about the fact that your daughter is going to be going into a world with men?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. They're not old enough yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty confident as they get older, because I think now I'm older than you. As they get older, I think you're going to find it's going to be a lot more scary thinking about your daughter dating. A lot more scary. When your daughter's going out with a guy you don't know, you're going to be a lot more scared than when your son's going out with a girl. And that's because the actual reality of a false allegation, it's so rare that it doesn't really, every time your son goes on a date, you're not going to be thinking, is this the one? Is this the one that's going to happen? But every time your daughter's out after midnight and isn't back on time, you'll be worried because you know in your heart of heart, even though we don't talk about how often rape happens, we know it happens to 1 in 5 women. And so when you're the father of a daughter and she gets to that age where she's dating, you start to feel this fucking dread. And you start to really understand what it's like to be a woman to some degree, because you start fearing for her. And then you start realizing the reason is because it's scary. And so my point is when you say false allegations can happen, you're right. The problem is, I think men make it seem like it happens a lot, and they make it a really big point to say, they could happen. Well, the problem with that is by pushing this idea that they could happen and they're really, really bad, what we're doing is we're creating this pressure to be cautious. That when a woman comes forward, don't fully believe her, because God forbid we ruin the reputation of the guy. And the truth is, the reputation of the guy is not going to be fucking destroyed. It's just not. People get accused all the fucking time. So it's not going to ruin their lives. It doesn't ruin the lives of rapists, for God's sake. So I just think we need to realize it's a binary. If you push the idea that false allegations destroys people, you're also going to make it so that people who are coming forward are not going to be as believed as easily because it is a binary. It's a choice. Because if you really believe false allegations ruins lives, you're going to be less inclined to believe someone who comes to you then because you're going to be scared you're going to ruin a life.
Fair enough. Thank you.
No, I appreciate you coming up. Anytime you want to pop up, feel free.
I've messed with you in chat before and just kind of talk shit to the side, and you kind of called me out, and I'm like, nope, not going up there. I've heard him.
No, buddy, I'm not. Look, I'll talk shit and all that kind of stuff. I don't try to be a bad guy. I really don't. I really don't. So I'm glad you came on up and talked.
All right, man. Be good. I'll be listening in, though.
Yep. All the best, brother. Bye bye.
Do me a favor, kick me, because
Yep.
I don't know how to leave this.
There you go. I got you. What's up, Kiss Kiss?
Hey, so I was wondering if you could call out somebody for me.
I am no longer in the call out business, or at least I don't think I am, although it's weird because I've been getting
Well,
a lot of really interesting requests in the past week specifically where like there's been a lot of people who've come to me. So I thought I'm retiring from the call out business, but what's going on? Tell me your problem.
yeah, this girl that I thought I was friends with on TikTok is now telling other people that I am. Do you know who Gypsy Rose is?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I am a spy for Gypsy and her aunt, and that she has all of this proof, and she's told everybody to block me and stuff. She's telling one of my other friends that I'm like going on people's lives and saying that her and her other friend are running the lives. I've never said any of that stuff, but
Well, let's
she
go
says
back
she
a
has all
step.
this proof, but she refuses to show me, and I'm getting
Let's
kind of sick of it.
let's go back a step, right? So, what's the name of the person?
Teresa and
Okay, not someone I've seen.
Teresa.
So I have to assume that you and your friends are in a community that discusses Gypsy Rose a lot,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not that you guys talk about grape culture and she just come up with this really wild idea that you're a friend of Gypsy Rose. You guys almost talk about Gypsy Rose or be in lives with Gypsy Rose. Otherwise, like, why would she claim that? Or am I
Well,
wrong about that?
I've never been in a live with Gypsy Rose.
So
I
why would she be saying you're a spy? That's crazy.
I don't know.
What?
You know
So
how many recordings I would be posting on TikTok to expose Gypsy if I was in communication with her?
I mean, this is crazy. Okay. So how is this impacting you though? Like this seems like such a the nice thing about insane claims is that they, can very often be dismissed, right? So how is this impacting you at all? Is anyone believing this shit?
Yeah, so I just got off of about a 4-hour phone call with my friends explaining to them like, okay, so Teresa is telling my friend one thing, like one of my friends one thing about me, and then she's telling one of my other friends something completely different. So I had to do a 3-way call that lasted almost 4 hours, and they're both witnesses to the opposite things. So we were just kind of like sharing all the details and stuff, but no, a lot of people are blocking me because she's telling them to block me because I'm some spy. And
Okay, but that's my point. Why would they block you? Because if you're spying and spying for Gypsy Rose, the people who are blocking you, they must be talking about Gypsy Rose, no?
yeah, I mean, it's more like a true crime community. It's not just about Gypsy Rose.
Yeah, okay, so it's a true crime. That's what I meant though. Okay, so meaning like there's some reason that people would be worried about a spy. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that makes a little bit more sense to me. So, you're saying some people are blocking you. Are most people blocking you, or has it only been a handful so far?
Well, today it's been about 5 people so far.
Okay, so and you have how many people now who know about the lies? At least two people because you did the three-way, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and do any of them have any sort of platform in your true crime community?
Not very much, no.
So what I would recommend doing is I don't know how close you are with those two people, but I would do a joint video. And a joint video doesn't mean the three of you have to be physically together. It just means you have to ask them to maybe just like do a 20-second clip where they're saying, this person is lying. And they've been lying to both of us. They told us different stories. Kiss Kiss is being honest here. Please don't believe this. And then I would recommend you do a video, because you're not going to be able to get into lives because you're being blocked. And people don't often like to talk about drama on lives. They don't like to interrupt. Like when I say talk about drama, let me rephrase that. People love drama on lives, right? But when it's personal drama that only affects you, meaning you're being targeted, people don't care about individuals. It's fucked up. So if you come up and be like, hey, I'm being persecuted, people aren't going to care. So what I would recommend is if you can create a video, you can refer people to the video. So the people who have blocked you, it is so much easier to just have one of your two friends who are not blocked refer them to a video so that they can see what's going on and then change their mind. Or I would go to one of the larger creators in that community and talk to them about what has happened. Get them on your side by doing that four-way call now, because having two people back you up is huge. And have that larger person in your community do a live. The problem is this is not going to be a call-out live because nobody's going to care, right? This person is not a liar. This person's only lying about you, right? There's no evidence they're lying about other people, right?
Oh, no, they're lying about other people too. They're lying about actually a couple other people that have been blocked as well.
Oh, well, that's a little bit
And,
more interesting then.
and
Okay.
on top of that, she keeps saying that she has all of this evidence, but she's not showing it. And I told her today on a three-way call, because I didn't have her number. They called me, and I told her, if you have all this evidence, send it over. Play the clips, right? Because she said that she had a live recording. I said, play it right now on the phone call, and she was like, oh, we're just getting nowhere. And I was like, why? Because I'm calling you out?
So you're in a really shitty situation because I need to be super clear. This is important to you. It's going to matter nothing to other people. And even the people who are blocking you, they're just not going to care. And that's a problem because you won't be able to tell your story. So you got an uphill battle on that. But the fact that you're saying that she's a chronic liar and she's got multiple victims, now you got a bit of a story. Do you know any creator who's into true crime who does lives? Is there like a regular live that you all go to?
Yeah, we usually go into like Fancy's live.
And how many people would see that?
Maybe 1,000, 2,000.
She's not going to do that, right? She's not going to permit you to come up and give a PSA, right?
Well, she might, because I have screenshots of her talking about Fancy as well.
Oh, you've got the golden nugget. That's big. That's really big. And are you in communication with Fancy directly?
Well, we follow each other, but we haven't talked to each other like that.
Okay, I that's a great route to go because you want eyes on it. So what I would recommend is doing exactly what you're saying, which is go to Fancy and like this comes off as manipulative, but like unfortunately, you need to get people to care and like manipulation is a nasty word, but it's also just another word for getting people to pay attention to a specific thing. So with Fancy, unfortunately, this may come off as manipulative, but at the end of the day, Fancy is a victim and potentially a larger victim moving forward.
Right.
And so what I would recommend then is that you basically go to Fancy, explain the story, and say that Fancy could be a target moving forward, identify who the other victims are, and then at that point ask Fancy to do a PSA on her live and explain it's in her interest as well before she starts spreading more lies about her. So I think that's a great route. And what I would recommend though is you need to get your story tight. And when I say tight, you need to rehearse it. So before you talk to Fancy or message Fancy, you need to be able to write out the whole story in less than, let me rephrase it like this. You need to be able to explain the whole story in a 1-minute video. Okay?
Okay.
And so, in order to really make it tight, you need to be specific. So, you're going to be the problem with receipts. The problem with these stories is that there's so many facts that you can really feel overwhelmed with figuring out what it is that matters, right? And so you need to be sort of bang, bang, bang. You have to kind of like bullet point the key things in your head. So, for example, whatever this person's name is, the liar, this liar has lied about X number of people. These lies have included claiming that people are spying for Gypsy Rose, claiming that blank, claiming that blank, claiming that blank. None of these lies have been substantiated, and here's her MO. She states the lie, she says it vaguely, she promises receipts, never provides it, and then tells half truths to other people. Give the MO. And then go through the victims. Here's the people who she has hurt so far. And we want to warn the community this person is tearing the community apart, presumably for nefarious or personal reasons, and we need to let everyone know that this is going on. That's how I would sort of frame your evidence. And, if you could make it tight, like if you could, if you imagine you only have a 1 minute, 2 minute call with Fancy, sum it up in 1 or 2 minutes like that before you even talk to her. Because people hate it when you come to them with, because like, I don't mean to be rude to you, but like, this is sort of an inconsequential problem for other people because it doesn't impact them at all, right? And so they're not going to want to spend 30 minutes on a phone call with you. Even though it matters to you, it's going to matter nothing to them. So you really need to make your story super tight before you approach other people to help you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, because I've never been in this situation before, but thank you.
No, it sucks. There's a lot of people who are incredibly mentally ill and or narcissistic and or just manipulative lying pieces of shit out there. And they concentrate. I don't know if they concentrate or if it's that they thrive online, but they really do thrive. I've been shocked at how many of these people I've encountered, and you're like, why do they exist? Well, what are they doing? Like, I'm sure you've been asking yourself, why is this happening? Right? Like, just scratching your head. And so, like, I relate to that because, like, I have this shit happen all the time where there's just liars out there, and you're just like, why are they doing these kind of things? So, and it's frustrating because, again, like, you will never make sense to someone else because you have to explain what a crazy person is doing to you.
Right.
So
Right.
just be aware of that when you're approaching other people, that you are going to sound crazy.
Okay. Thank
Okay?
you.
No problem. All right. Good luck.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Feel free to, I'll follow you as well so that if you want to follow up with me, you're more than welcome to. And my Discord is my username, Irish NYC, all lowercase. So feel free.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye-bye. No problem. Nordic, you said something in the comments. Story or truth? And, the implication there is that a story can sometimes not be the truth. And I think that that's a fair point. However, I think any story is never going to be the truth. It can just simply be as true as we can help it to be. So one of the things you learn as a lawyer is that you assemble the facts, right? The first thing with any lawyer for any case is we want to get our hands on every single fact, because facts are building blocks. They're like the Legos of your story. And the more variation you have on the facts, the more fanciful or the more interesting or the more complex story you can build with your Legos. So your first step as a lawyer, and I would say as a storyteller, is to assemble all of the facts, okay? Then what you do is, it depends on who you are. If you're a manipulative piece of shit, you cut out all of the stuff. Hey, Antonio, you cut out all the stuff that is going to explain context, and you just clip the bad stuff, right? And that's someone who's a liar, right? And I think I would hope that I've developed a reputation at this point that I don't do that. And you could. It's very easy to do that. It's the same skill set, right? But what I do is I assemble all of the facts and I try to the best as possible. Oh, thanks for that heads up, by the way. I try as best as possible to figure out what is the likely truth. And because sometimes like you don't know what the truth is, right? Especially when you're trying to understand other people's motivations, because that person who just came up here just said that someone is lying on their name. But the person who's lying on their name may not be lying. They may just be mistaken. They may have been told misinformation. They may have mixed her up with someone else. So you never really know what the truth is. All you can do is do a good faith effort to figure out what is the thing that most closely approximates the truth. And so once you've figured that out as a lawyer or as a storyteller, once you've figured out what you think the closest thing to the truth is, then you assemble all the facts, you cut out everything that doesn't support your story. And that's not to hide it. That's not to like not disclose stuff. It's more so that if someone else has a different interpretation, they can go ahead and make their interpretation. Like they're fully in their right to go ahead and do so. But being able to take 1,000 different facts and tell a story, you need it to be tight. You need it to be concise. You need it to be as focused as possible. And when you're creating that narrative, what you also need to do is make it entertaining. And so sometimes you'll include parts in it that are not critical to telling the story, but that are sort of your hook. And the hooks are important because if you don't include the hooks, you're not able to keep people's attention. So when I go through my process, I do a tremendous amount of research. I assemble all of the facts. I try to figure out, does one truth emerge? And ordinarily one truth does emerge. Sometimes it doesn't. And if one truth emerges, then I'm going to latch onto that, and that's going to be my story. And then I'm going to add the hooks, which is the kind of stuff that people often get interested in. Hey, Witch, what's going on? But there's sometimes when you're not going to get a single story. So, for example, like with the whole Blitz Peterson thing, I still don't have a single story. I cannot figure out the truth of what happened there. I cannot figure out why is it Blitz and Peterson were defending paleo. One narrative is that they're all just in a boys' club. The other narrative is that we believe what Paleo said. Paleo said all of them were pedo catchers. That's the other narrative. The other narrative is something sinister is going on. I could not figure out what was the true narrative, which is why when I talk about what happened with Peterson and Blitz on different issues, I don't have an answer to it. That's why I'm usually just sharing the information when it comes to them. Now, when it came to Peterson specifically, there was a narrative, right? After looking at all the facts of what happened in his server, it's abundantly clear that he wanted really bad, toxic people in his server. He didn't care whatsoever about how dangerous they were. He just wanted people to fuck with. He really enjoyed bullying them. And he didn't care that there were minors and other vulnerable people, and he didn't feel an obligation to take care of them. That story was crystal clear to me. Now, his story would be, what's his story? His story is I just wasn't paying attention. I mean, that's not true, because we saw that there's messages where he's literally saying, I want toxic people in here. We see people saying, do you want us to keep bad people out? He's like, no. We see people saying, can you please get rid of this Petritio? He says, no. And so his story, his narrative, his interpretation of the facts does not comport with the facts, which is like really nice. Like that when you're a storyteller, when you're a lawyer, when you're trying to, when you're trying to explain a narrative to someone, when you see that the other person's narrative is not supported by facts and is contradicted by facts, that gives you a great sense of relief because it makes you realize, oh, my narrative is absolutely the truth. Because, you never know. You never, ever, ever know if it's the truth. But when the other person comes out with something that you can show is contradicted by facts, then you know they're lying. So if they're lying and you're making your best effort to tell the truth, I think it's pretty certain that you've told the truth, in my opinion, at that point. So, I think the same thing is like when we talk about Blitz and Paleo and Peterson, there's certain things that I think are very clear. The narrative about what Peterson did at a server, I think is very clear. I think there is another story there. Remember, Paleo kept saying that they were using that server to bring in Petridios to catch them like Chris Hansen. That could be the case. But that story is in line with my story. It's just worse. So that story that Paleo said doesn't contradict my story. It just adds onto it and makes it worse. And so even when there's conflicting stories, it's reassuring that a lot of it is not conflicting. It's actually just additive in nature. But the one thing that I can't understand is Blitz and Blitz's motivations. That is what I've never had a narrative for. I cannot for the life of me understand why Dr. Blitz put his name and his reputation on the line for Peterson and Paleo. And, unfortunately, as much as this narrative does not fit for me, the fact that Paleo talks about the three of them working together is the only narrative that it's the only explanation that there is. So that's always been very frustrating for me, to be honest with you. But I go through this crisis of faith often in terms of when you're a good storyteller, and again, people hear the word story and they think fiction. Stories are also factual, right? And I do think I'm a good storyteller, or I'm a reasonably good storyteller. And I think that I recognize that as a good storyteller, and as someone who I think that as much as a lot of people hate, I think a lot of people trust as well, I do recognize I hate to use this word, but the power or maybe responsibility that comes with me telling a story about someone. And so I do take it pretty seriously in order to make sure that, the story I'm telling is factual and accurate as much as possible. Docile said, so that story makes it okay that they had both Petridios and miners. LOL, they were using the miners as bait. Docile, I mean, to me, that's Paleo's story. That is Paleo's story. That's not my story, right? That seems so crazy to me that I'm not even pushing that story. I've never said they used the miners as bait, but that is Paleo's narrative. But it just seems so insane to me that I'm almost like, I don't push it because it's like, that's crazy. And then the other one, obviously, is we know Paleo was soliciting child porn. So if Paleo is soliciting child porn, why is Paleo also trying to catch Petridios? It makes much more sense that Paleo would be trying to talk to Petridios. So it gets very sinister when you start going down that line of thinking, and hopefully the FBI will figure it out, because I've got no clue what happened. I really have no clue, and I hope it is figured out at some point. But with narratives and all that, something still isn't right to me about it. Yeah, with narratives and all that. So for example, with Avery, right? Because I've been looking back at a lot of the Avery stuff and a lot of the zombie love stuff, because zombie love has been going off on a tear lately. And I go back and forth, because I realize there's a lot of responsibility in telling a story about a person, I go back and forth on making sure that my understanding and interpretation of the facts is accurate. And so, like, with Avery, like, I really did go out of my way to try to give as much validity as possible to Avery's narrative that what they were doing was not wrong. And the problem is, Avery's narrative as to what she was doing was not wrong just kept changing. She would say it's her DID. She would say that it's involuntary age regression. Then she would say that she's disabled and incontinent. And then she would say all these other things. And she would keep insisting it's not sexual, it's not weird, it's not anything untoward for her. But then you take all of that and you find out that she's on FetLife in adult baby diaper lover groups, seeking out mistresses, seeking out brats, seeking out pups, seeking out littles, contacting them, asking for quote unquote play dates, specifically play dates with an older mommy who specializes in changing diapers. Like, having a woman change your diaper as a 34-year-old trans woman, that's got nothing to do with DID. Nothing to do with DID. Nothing. And so, like, I always want to make sure that I'm telling the truth or the best approximation of truth based upon the facts that I have before me. And, I cannot come up with a good faith interpretation for what Avery did, because Avery was on kink sites. She was in kink communities. And when I say communities, I mean physical meet-up in person communities. And there is no question Avery was following dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of minors. No question about that. And not just following them, engaging in their content when those minors were posting age play and age regression content. And when you add all that up together, like, even I didn't make the allegation that Avery is a Petritio, but I do think that that is absolutely improper. I don't care if there's sexual intent with the minor. I just think that's entirely improper. And then when you add then the grooming allegation, I don't know. I keep scratching my head. How is it Zombie Loves can be defending all of that put together? And how is it Zombie Love can be going around lying so explicitly, lying about what happened? Like, Zombie Love acts as though Cherry doesn't exist, denies Cherry's age at the time, claims that she's not denying. Zombie Love claims that she's not denying that Avery has victims, right? And has never, ever told a victim that they're lying. And yet she has specifically said Cherry is lying about her age, and is specifically saying that Avery wanting to meet up for quote unquote intimate cuddling sessions. Zombie is claiming that that's not intimate, sexually intimate in any way. Like, I don't know. Although I did recently get a message from someone. I got a message from someone who apparently knows Zombie Loves from a... Oh, Amy, you've got no idea, Amy. Amy, you've got no idea. She's at more than 100 videos on Mac and I, and it's constantly the same stuff. Mac and Irish mocked her essay. Nobody mocked her essay. Mac and Irish attacked her and said she was never essayed. Nobody said she was never essayed. The problem is that she keeps bringing her essay into a conversation where her essay is not part of the conversation. The conversation has always been about Avery, and what Avery did was wrong. That's what the whole conversation is about. And Zombie Loves keeps bringing up her essay and saying that she is a victim of SA, which is true. Nobody's doubting that at all, and God love her for that. But how is that related in any way to the fact that Avery is a goddamn predator? How is that related? Like, shouldn't it be the exact opposite? That given that she's a victim of SA, zombie loves, why is she defending someone like Avery? Like, that's the only relevance that her SA would play, is that it should make her more empathetic towards people who are victims of predators. And so I don't really understand it. Like, Avery is. I've struggled with figuring out how to describe what Avery's problem is, but I think it's probably fair to say that she is an adult baby diaper lover exhibitionist. I think that's probably the best way of describing the type of assault that she engages in. And Zombie Loves was really disingenuous for suggesting that it's not that the word assault is inappropriate to use when there's a lack of physicality. I strongly disagree with that. As someone who grew up, or not grew up, but as someone who spent many, many years in New York, and has sadly seen way too many penises flashed in front of me, a flasher is an assault. If you have someone standing in front of you and they flash their penis, that's an assault. I don't. That's not an unfair use of the word assault. Assault does not mean, when in terms of sexual assault, it doesn't simply mean. I think there's no reason to limit it to a physical assault, especially if you're being clear as to what it is. I think a visual assault, there can absolutely be a visual sexual assault. There's a reason why we criminalize it. A person who walks up to you and flashes you on a subway, that is a crime. That should be a crime. Even though there's no physicality. And what Avery likes to do is, Avery likes to be an exhibitionist. And they like to show off their diaper. And they like to show off that they're wearing a diaper. And they like to sexualize themselves while they're in a diaper. They want to act like a 2 to 3-year-old while telling people to suck their dick. They want to act like a 2 or 3-year-old while sticking out their tongue and licking someone. And when you put all of that together, when someone is doing that to you, it is an assault. Like, that's not disingenuous to call that an assault. Nobody said, whether or not you call it sexual assault or not, does it really matter? Yeah, anxious. So manic, correct me if I'm wrong, anxious, but I believe that manic is a temporary condition. Or maybe I'm wrong on that. I thought manic was meant to be only a temporary thing. We just got contacted by someone who apparently has known Zombie Loves for years. Yeah, but anxious, this is the thing. We just got contacted by someone who has known Zombie Loves for years. And they made some striking allegations to me just today. And I'm not going to repeat the allegations until I get substantiation for them. But if those allegations are true, that would mean that Zombie Loves has been like this for many, many years. Now, when you look at her content, I think there's strong evidence that she has been like this for at least a year and a half. So it's not been months. And anxious, when you say months, this started in April. So we're coming up at 6 months, and Zombie Loves is still going strong. And the evidence on her page suggests she's been doing this a hell of a lot longer than 6 months, at least a year and a half. And now someone who came to me who knew about Zombie Love before, because Zombie Love has had a very long career on Twitch. You go look her up on Twitch. It's Zombie Loves ASMR. And she's got hundreds of videos up there. But I'm learning stuff now about her time on Twitch that may be relevant, and may indicate that this was not a recent thing. Because an obvious interpretation of what happened is that she was raped in March and she had a manic break, right? That would be an obvious interpretation. That's why, I don't think I've really been that fucking mean to Zombie Loves. I think she deserves to be treated very poorly, given how disgusting she's been and given how much she harasses. She deserves no respect. But at first, I genuinely thought she was having a manic break due to her essay. But now I don't think that. Now I don't think that at all, because looking over her videos, she was doing this before her essay. And now, after being contacted by someone, think that at all, because looking over her videos, she was doing this before her essay. And now, after being contacted by someone, so I don't know. It'll be interesting. Manic is a state, don't supposed to be permanent. Usually is manic depressive what you see. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. Person in the STEM community says he is good friends with her. Why am I shocked? Fucking STEM community. Could be that she is always like this when manic, but has months of depression also. Yeah, I mean, it could be chronic mania. I do know. Yeah, please do, Amy. I do know that, like, from talking, people who reached out to me recently who have apparently known her for a long time, she was engaged up until 2022, and that did not end well. And, it could be that that was the trigger, because I know that, that could be traumatic, having an ex, or pardon me, having someone who you're invested in dump you, especially when you've got kids and stuff. That could be a lot. So maybe that set her into something, but it's unhinged. It's absolutely unhinged. And I go back and forth between, like, should I do lives on it or not? Should I do videos on it or not? Because, like, her videos are wackadoodle, like absolutely wackadoodle. I don't even know how to start. Like, and I think that's where I actually do think she's a very, I don't know, to me, I think she's a very manipulative person, which, can you be manic and manipulative at the same time? Like, I think that's what confuses me a bit, is that she has absolutely either lied or been delusional. So, like, one of the things that, like, really kind of threw us through a loop was when Zombie started referencing a phone conversation with me and how that phone conversation went. And she started talking about how I ended up hanging up because I realized during the phone call that she had got me to say something bad or something. Can't remember exactly what she said. But there's never been a phone call between me and Zombie. Like, I want to say that again. Zombie and I have never spoken on the phone. So, like, that scared the crap out of me, because I was like, is she lying about the phone call, or has she made it in her own head that there was a phone call? Because I was like, she sounds like she's believing what she's saying right now. Wait, Zombie Loves has been through a lot. Let's not talk about her like that. I mean, Chinganga, you clearly don't know the history with Zombie Loves. Zombie Loves has been a horrible person who has been harassing and targeting people for months, with no regard for their mental health, telling lies about them and defaming them. So it doesn't matter if it's due to mental health or manipulation. And it's not my job to figure out which one it is. Like, I feel like that's another thing, is that, like, I put so much effort into trying to figure out why these people, generally speaking, when I'm going up against people, why these people are in any way doing what they're doing. But, like, why do I have to care whether she's doing it due to mental illness or she's doing it because of cruelty? I have a right to not have to submit to it, in my opinion. So, Chinganga, when you're saying Zombie Loves has been through a lot, respectfully, I don't know anyone who's on this app regularly who's not been through a lot. We've all been through a lot. Everyone's been through a lot. But being through a lot doesn't entitle you to be deplorable to people. Okay, Lachinganga, when you say she's disassociating, is she saying she's disassociating? Because she's not making that claim, right? She's not saying she's got mental health that's causing her to lie, right? She's never said that. You're assuming it. And I understand you're assuming it, but like really think about it. You are excusing a person who is a serial harasser and doxer on this app because you're claiming she's a mental disease, which she would say she doesn't have. She's not claiming that she's doing these things due to mental illness. So, like, she's not coming out and saying, she's not having a moment of clarity over a 6 month period where she's coming out and saying, oh my God, I'm sorry, this is happening because of blank. She's not doing that. So, like, why are you? Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand you're putting it down, you're ascribing it to mental illness, but like, you have no idea if it's mental illness or she's just a manipulative person. Yeah, Fever, she has been making videos nonstop for the past 6 months. She's made 20 videos in the past 4 days. 20 videos in the past 4 days. 20 videos in the past 4 days. I mean, Lachinganga, she has DID, I believe. And are you familiar with DID? So, Lachinganga, first of all, I'm not sure I've ever heard her say she has DID. So, I don't know if I agree with you because I don't think I've ever heard her say that. Secondly, if she had DID, you understand that when it comes to alters, she would be flipping through her alters. So, when is it she's having a moment of clarity? I've not seen her have a moment of clarity where she has said, you know what, I'm so sorry. This is something I'm doing or one of my alters is doing. She's never done that. She's never done that. So, like, again, like, why do you think this is, why are you putting it down to her DID? Like, that, I don't know what to call that. And Chidanga, I'm not coming at you, just to be clear, but I don't know what to call that. But, like, if ableism is making fun of people with mental disabilities, what is it called when we infantilize someone by claiming they have mental illnesses they're not even claiming? What is that called? Does anyone know? I don't know what that's called. Tilly, do me a favor. Just so everyone in the app knows, I'm not claiming someone saying someone pretending to be DID. Tilly, there's a lot of psychological dispute as to the existence of DID. So I'm not going to prevent people from talking about that, given the fact that there is a big dispute in the psychology community as to whether or not DID exists. But I just want to make sure that to people here in the comments, I'm not advocating or endorsing people's discussion in the comments. They're fully entitled to have their discussion. And I'm not saying anyone is or is not faking DID. If someone says they have DID, I just accept it because, like, why not? It doesn't hurt me to say, okay, you've DID. I just accept it. But, like, that's sort of the point, is that if I combine me accepting someone has DID with the fact that I won't allow their DID to escape accountability, then it doesn't harm me at all to accept that they have DID. I think that a lot of people try to figure out if people have DID in order to try to hold someone accountable, right? And so I think the better approach is, rather than saying someone isn't something, is just simply saying that just because you are something doesn't mean that you're not accountable for bad actions. I personally think that is the better approach. But I don't, I'm not going to tone police everyone.
Hi,
What's up, Stone?
how are you? I'm doing all
Good.
right.
What's going on?
I was just talking about the thing with the you that can speak. The ID thing that you were talking about, right? I
Yeah, sure.
have met someone who like, okay, first off, I am diagnosed with the idea as well, right? And I am the host. And like, I have met someone who not only claimed. Do you know what endosystems are? Okay, endosystems are supposedly someone who has a DID system without trauma.
Okay.
And if you know anything about the idea is a traumagenic system. Is a traumagenic. Yeah.
Yep. I understand that. Yeah.
And this person would literally try to escape accountability for everything they did to me, based on the idea of like, oh, but I have the idea. I'm like, sure. Like I really never believed them once because they also believing in the systems. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't see the benefit in disputing if someone has DID. The problem I think is that a lot of people today are using their identities as a shield from accountability, and that's unacceptable. So I do think that your identities, depending on what your identity is, requires grace and accommodation to some degree, but it doesn't completely inoculate you from accountability. So, for example, okay, your identity as a woman. I, as a dude, am going to be a lot less inclined to try to hold a woman accountable. And that's just due to like the power imbalance between men and women. And I kind of feel like I'd be more comfortable with women calling out women. I would be a lot less inclined to go after a black man on this app than I would about a white man. And that's due to the optics. If a white man attacks a black man on this app, you're just going to attract a lot of racists going after that person. If someone is trans, I don't like going after someone who's trans because if I go after someone who's trans who's a bad person and has done really bad things, the problem is that it encourages transphobia to some degree, or is going to attract the transphobes who want to just beat up on that person. And so your identity matters, I think, as it pertains to who goes after you or who maybe says stuff to you. Like, I do think it's more beneficial that if someone who is trans is doing something bad, that people in the trans
Yeah.
community go after that person. If someone who is black is bad, then someone who is black should go after that person purely to avoid racists from capitalizing on it. So I think your identity matters from that standpoint, generally speaking, as a general rule. Obviously, I don't hold to that all the time. But then on the flip side, I don't think your identity should ever be wielded as
Exactly.
a shield to say, but I'm trans, so you
Exactly.
can't attack me. No, you can. You can. Like, if you're just because you're
No,
trans
but
doesn't mean you can't be a horrible person who's done
just
horrible
holding someone
things. So,
accountable is not really attacking them. It's just
it's
it's
great
not
point as
really
well.
attacking them. It's just being like, hey, your behavior is, no, don't do that. Like, but like, I personally believe that regardless, you can call out people from different demographics. Like for example, I'm also trans, right? But like I wouldn't like okay. Hypothetically, right? Hypothetically, if I were to have done something wrong, and I would and someone were to call me out, because that has happened. There has been some people who have tried to call me out for stuff that I haven't done, right?
Okay.
And I have proof, and I even had to put my whole entire criminal history online because this person kept on going for 2 years. Now they stopped fully, but hey, I had to get to that point to do so, you know? And I this person is nor a trans person. This person is a black person. I am not mentioning her name because I am not gonna attract her here,
Okay.
even though she has me blocked. And I am not gonna, give hints as to who she is,
Okay. But
but
go ahead. Yeah.
like, because there's a few. who has I, but like, yeah, just I fully believe that well, in a way, I believe that you can call out people from other things, because calling out someone does not mean that you're attacking them. It just means that you just like, again, hey, your behavior is wrong, stop it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and I find it always a red flag when someone like weaponizes their identities in order to evade accountability. So, for example, the person who we're talking about is called Avery. Avery is trans, has DID, is a military vet, and is
I know
disabled.
who Avery is.
And
I had a whole entire issue with her.
yeah,
Because at first I thought she was being attacked. At first I thought she was being, you know, like pushed. Because I was reading what she was saying, right? Rather than what you guys were saying. But like, and then I started paying more attention, and I'm like, wait, that is weird. And like it's I ended up blocking her because like I was mutuals with her at some point, and I was like, I am not getting myself in another trouble just because I'm associating with someone who is problematic, you know.
yeah, someone created a profile about Avery. If you go search for Avery Vaughn right now, I think it's like the third one that pops up, and it's a receipts profile kind of thing. I highly recommend everyone search for it. They had videos that I didn't even have. They had a video of Avery on, what do you call it, on Adora's Live, where Avery starts talking about their genitals, and it just gets so fucking weird. I highly recommend you go find that account. Just Google, just put in TikTok Avery Vaughn, and it'll pop right up. And the receipts, like anytime anyone has an issue, I just refer them to that account. At this point, it's just the easiest way of getting people to learn what Avery is like. But when you try to call out Avery for turning on their camera when they're wearing a diaper, or for sticking out their tongue and licking the screen while they're on a live, or for standing up and exposing themselves by covering their nipples but only wearing a diaper, or for telling people to suck their dick by saying "suck my fairy wand," or by following dozens and dozens and dozens of minors who engage in age regression and age play videos, and her commenting on those videos, encouraging them. It's just when you call Avery out on any of that stuff, her response is, "You're transphobic. You hate military vets. You hate disabled people." And it's like, none of the shit I just called you out has anything to do with any of
It
those
has
things.
to
What are you
do
talking
with
about?
being a
Like,
creepo.
creepo. Like, I don't know why, like, we have ran away from just calling these people fucking weirdos. Like, you're just a fucking creep. Like, you're just a fucking creep. Like if someone says, please don't turn on your camera because you're wearing a diaper
That's
and there's
basically
victims of
okay.
sexual assault and
That
victims of
is
child
literally
sexual assault, don't
that
do
is
that when you're sexualizing
basically
yourself.
like being completely naked, you know, like it's basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think Avery is an exhibitionist. And what's most fucked up is Zombie Loves has loads of videos where Zombie Loves accuses us of sexualizing
He's the one
Avery
who's generous.
by
He also
showing
has an
pictures
OF.
and videos. Exactly. So calling out, so exposing Avery for sexualizing themselves apparently is us sexualizing them. Like, it's the lunacy of it. It's just crazy.
Listen, I cannot say that. I have an adult site content place, right? I'll be damned if I come to TikTok with a diaper. I don't
Well, I
use
mean,
diapers in
see
my
the thing
real
is,
life.
like,
I
I'm
don't use
actually,
diapers in my real life. I hate diapers.
but the thing is, like, I am very, very, very open minded in the sense that, like, Am I into diapers? No, of course not. But if someone told me that they do diaper play with their partner, I'm not going to judge that. I'm really not. Like, I just don't care. But like, once you start like following minors, once you start doing it on videos when people are asking you to stop doing it in their own live, you have a right to be able to run your live the way you want to run it. And I think that that's where I just have the boundary. Like, honestly, if Avery had a platform where she was in a diaper dancing, I don't think I would attack her. I would think it's weird. I would think it's fucking creepy, but I don't think I would attack her. My only issue is that she just doesn't care about people's consent. It's fucking predatory. Anyway, I'll drop you on back down. I appreciate you coming on up though and sharing what you got.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, no problem. Cheers. Bye. Guys, what do you make of the fact that I literally cannot get an opposition? Like, what is it? People used to say it's because I've already like run through the opposition or something, but that's not it. Matt gets opposition all the time. How do I have 58 people in here for like an hour or more and not one opposition? We had one guy join and he was like nice. He was nice. What the frick? It's just ridiculous. I need like this is why when people are like they don't understand why Mac and I go live together, this is where it pisses me off, where they're like, why would Irish always go on Mac's live? And when they start like this sort of like, Irish must be creeping on young girls because he always goes on Mac's live. I don't have a platform without Mac. Don't tell her that. Again, I hate it when she gets a big head over that. I don't have a platform without Mac. I don't ever want someone clipping this and giving it to her. But I don't get debates. I don't get to be able to shout at people. I don't be able to entertain you guys. Without Mac, I'm nothing. Without Mac, I'm nothing. And that's just the truth of it. Don't get me wrong. I feel like I add a lot to Mac as well. Oh, hey, Emma, I just want to give you a heads up. You need to go to an account, Emma, because I saw they had a video of you up, and if it's a problem, you need to let them know. So go to Avery Vaughn. Okay, so if you're still in here, I want you to go to your TikTok search page. I want you to put in Avery Vaughn. And in the first 2 or 3 or 4 results, Emma, you're going to find an account that has 50 or 100 followers. Do me a favor and look there, because I know I saw a video with you on there that I had not seen yet. It's not a problem video. It's where Avery seems to be shouting at you. But if I were you, I'd want to know so you can let them know to keep it up or take it down. So just a heads up. So it's not, do I have a platform without Mac? No. Does Mac have a platform without me? The truth is yes. Or let me rethink this, because I was about to be unfair to myself a little bit, because when I say I don't have a platform, I'm still able to get people to join. I'm just not going to be entertaining. I'm not getting opposition, right? But people still want to listen to some degree, right? When Mac has lives without me, they still get good numbers. And so I would say it would be unfair for me to say Mac doesn't have a platform without me, right? I think it's not unfair for me to say I don't have a platform without Mac. I think Mac has a platform without me, but I think I make her platform better. Sometimes I don't, right? Sometimes I can't shut the fuck up. Sometimes I go overboard. Sometimes I'm a little bit too bitey. I get it. But I do feel as though, at least when I have noticed, because I'll use an alt account to slide into people's lives sometimes. And when I see Mac is live and I'm not there, she still has decent numbers, but I'm always seeing people in the comments saying, "Where's Irish?" So I think it's fair to say I don't have a platform without Mac. Mac has a platform without me, but I think Mac's platform is better with me. And so I really do think it's symbiotic in that regard. And why it works, I couldn't fucking tell you. I genuinely couldn't tell you. Like, I don't understand why it works. It shouldn't work, right? You've got the age gap issue, like that should be a problem. Like we should be fighting a lot more than we're fighting. You've got the man versus the woman part of it where you've got like man energy where, you've absolutely seen me do the whole dick measuring thing with guys who comes up, which annoys her. That should be a bigger conflict. You've got the fact that she's much more conservative. I'm much more liberal. But then again, I think that it's the fact that we're polar opposites that makes it kind of entertaining to some degree. So, I feel as though that sort of dichotomy is part of what makes it a little bit more fun. Yeah, Satan, it's not just bickering. We definitely have fights. Like, she can drive me fucking batty, as I'm sure I could drive her batty as well. So, like, I think what's been nice is that Mac and I have always been able to fight and make amends. And that's a very good thing. That's a healthy thing to be able to have. Because, like, friends are going to piss you off. And sometimes shouting at them or, like, getting mad at... Because we don't really shout, to be fair. We don't really curse either. But it's nice to be able to let that steam off, if that makes sense. And to be able to know that you can still be friends afterwards is kind of important. It's going to be grind to switch what your viewers are coming to see. Astrid, I know you're saying I have more of a call-out platform. You're probably right, I guess. I did do debates for a while, though, and it popped off great. It's just that my accounts get bananaed so quickly that they get shadow banned very quickly. And so that's why I think I only get circulated to my friends. Like, the reason why I don't think I get ops is I don't think I'm on the FYP. I don't think any of my accounts are on the FYP. Mac's account goes to the FYP every time. So she gets new people in. That's why the people in my comments notice we very rarely get stragglers in the comments. Like, ever. Do we ever? I don't think we ever do. What do you mean that's not really why? Atlantic, it has to be. Atlantic, there's 61 people in here. Why are there not more random people in the comments? Yeah, but no, even Atlantic, at 61 people, you would expect several people who are in the comments who are randomers. And the point is, I don't ever get anyone random
Because
in
you're
this
never
live,
on
ever.
camera. That's like one of the TikTok thing for the algorithm. At least initially, you have to be on camera. Even for me, like when I start my lives, I start on camera. When I go off camera, my viewers drop immediately.
So I have been thinking about just putting up like a fake video kind of
You
thing.
have to be on camera during the lives, so then
Yeah, but how would TikTok know? I mean, I turn on the camera, quote unquote, accidentally all the time. So like, why would TikTok know if it's a real me or a computer screen that I have in front of me?
I don't know about that.
I mean, I
Honestly,
wouldn't
I've
have a
never
clue.
done that. That kind of sounds smart.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that a couple of times on purpose. So like, and it's never like it looks great. It looks like it's a
I mean,
person.
yeah, I guess.
It's just that the person would not be talking at the same time I'm talking, but it would
I
be a
don't think
person.
that's gonna work.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, then I need an avatar. Like, and I know there's now technology out there where I can convert it into an avatar. One of the problems has been is to have it linked up with TikTok. So, for example, right now, I could use an avatar, right? I could put on like a goofy filter, right? But those filters can glitch. However, there are software where you can have a filter that is not connected to your face, so it cannot glitch. The problem is
Or
you
you know
can't
what you
link them
can
up with
do,
TikTok.
Irish?
And so,
You could just wear a
what's
Batman
up?
mask.
That's so
It's
fucking
not. I mean,
goofy.
I've seen people on here and on YouTube that's how they built their platform, with like a mask completely covering their face.
That's so
It's
goofy.
unique. I hardly ever see that.
I hear you, but like, I just would feel so
Or
stupid.
do like a
But I mean, the problem. Well, hang on. The one reason why I wouldn't want to cover up my face, okay, in the sense that if I'm going to go on camera, the one thing that like I think that I've never said I'm like an attractive man, right? I've always said I'm like a 3 to 4, right? Uh, I have attractive expressions. People like my facial movements and stuff. And I feel like that would be lost. I make a lot of big expressions, if that makes sense. So I would prefer to have avatar, an AI, to mimic me rather than cover it
I
all
mean,
up,
or
if
you
that
could
makes
just like
sense.
stop being a chicken and just like be on camera.
It's got nothing to do with me. It's got to do with my family. We've seen how these people go after family members. I'm not willing to put my family at risk. I don't care about like they can't hurt me, but I just don't want anyone to go after my
Okay, well
family.
then,
I don't understand how you've not gotten more fucking harassment, but like again, we've had people related to us being threatened who are being set up to be raped.
well, let
Like
me
that's
let me
just
tell you
different level.
this.
Like
I've gotten so many unalive threats. I get like the most freaking hate on this app. And no one has ever tried to come for me or my family that haven't found anything about me except that one person who shall remain nameless. Didn't do anything. But besides that, no one has ever been able to find anything or like hurt me or my family. Like Parker gets Dean. They get millions of fucking people seeing them. Nobody's trying to come after them. Like
wait, did you? Yeah, but did you not hear what I say? Like I'm telling you, we've had people post.
about the
So
C thing.
I don't. Yeah, like that's not a like that's crazy. Like I'm just saying, like I think that listen, as a trans woman, I understand. I would never diminish the hate you get, right? I think I trigger people in a different way. Is all I'm saying. Like the people, I don't think you've got longtime stalkers. I've got a dozen to 2 dozen long-time dedicated people obsessed with destroying my life. And so like I just think I get a different type of hater. Do you know what I mean? Like I think we all get death threats. I think we all get Mac gets grape threats all the time. I get people who want to destroy my life. So people who've been doxxed as me have contacted me to help them clear their names. That's how bad it is.
Okay, then I guess you won't be in the algorithm. The only way I can
Yeah,
see it
I mean,
happening
I
is that like
understand
if you
that.
have
Or I
someone
mean,
else host the live and be on camera while you're on the panel with them.
yeah, I mean that's why Mac is there. But it's also why I've like wanted to try to get a co-host, a permanent co-host kind of thing. Like the way that RTP had Felicia, I would love to have something like that. I would feel that I'm tokenizing the person, but I would love to have a permanent person who has their face on that I can go live with. That would be
Yeah,
my
but it
ideal.
has to also be a good looking face. If you're like not good looking,
I know, and then you get into the whole tokenizing thing. So now I'm going to tokenize a pretty woman. Like that sucks. But like, I'd be honest about it if that was part of it for sure. Are you offering to be my good-looking woman to go camera with me?
um I don't know, Irish, honestly.
Don't throw yourself at me all at once. No, we would not be good co-hosts because we're too similar. I think you know that probably. We are good. Like I can be a guest on your live for a certain amount of time, but like you and I, we are redundant. We overlap. We bring the same thing to a live. People like our snark. People like our attitude. People like how fiery we are. We don't complement each other. We just are the same person. Like, we don't bring anything new. Do you
I
know what I
mean,
mean?
think about that live. Remember that live? What was it? The T Women Are Better
Which
Being
one?
Women live? That shit
Yeah, that
was
was pretty good.
crazy.
Yeah, that was good. But I mean, you and I were way too similar. We would not, which is why like the people who you co-host with they don't tend to be as fiery. I mean, I'm sure you've probably noticed that. You tend to have very, very mellow people you
Yeah.
co-host with. Yeah, there's a reason for that. Like opposites attract, not just in romantic partners, but I think co-creators. So I need a mellow person who is attractive, who is wicked sharp, and doesn't mind being on camera. Yeah, go find me that person, Atlantic. Oh, and also has to be funny and able to take a ribbing. Like, I'm not going to find this person. I'm going to give up now.
Yeah. Then say goodbye to your algorithm.
I don't really care. Like, I've never done this for views. I've never done this for following. So, like, it doesn't really matter all that much. But I would like to. I have genuinely thought multiple times about doing a sort of like an advertisement for Find Irish's next host. Mac would cut my balls off, just to be really clear. Like, she would be so angry at me. But I mean, realistically, like, she doesn't do this. She doesn't want to do this for real. And if I am going to want to keep doing this, which I think I do, then I might want to start doing it for real. I think it would be fun to have, like, you know, the way they do, what do you call it? Speed dating. Like, I love the idea of doing some sort of like quick round, do you want to be my permanent host moving forward kind of thing.
I have an idea. Why
What's
don't
that?
we try it like once?
You and I? Sure. I'm always
We do a
open
really
for anything, of
spicy
course.
topic. I'll be the face. You be the co-host.
You come up with the topic, you host, I'll happily be there.
But it's in relation
Obviously,
to
you know I
this,
love
to
this
these
shit.
topics, right?
In relation to any topics, you said spicy, so I don't really care at all. You go, you know I'll do any topic at all. So, like, literally any topic.
Okay, I'll think of something. Because Kelly and I were doing the other day, trans women are better at pleasing men. That shit got fucking crazy.
See, this is the thing that really annoys me is like those topics, they're fun to do. I'm still irritated that Avery's whole narrative is that I'm attacking her because she exposed me as a trans chaser. And I'm still angry about that because they used a clip from your live to prove it. And it's like, I've said this 1,000 times. Find a single trans woman on this app that I have made a move on. Find one. You won't. Like, I've fully respected all of the trans women who I've ever debated with or been mutuals with. And yet Avery's spun that one clip you and I had from a live where I was saying why trans women will always be better sexually than cis women. And they've been using that clip to make it sound like I just want to be with trans women. So, like, I'd be scared to do that live with you today, only because I know people would clip it to try to make you seem like I chase trans women. That would piss me off. So I'd maybe have some hesitancy about that.
Yeah, I don't want to do that topic. I was just saying like topics like that. But I was thinking more like, do you like the body count topic?
Yeah, I think it's not a bad one. It's not a great one,
Okay, well,
but I
because
don't
that
mind it.
one, I got a lot of viewers on that one the other day, and they had a lot of misogynistic people come into my live.
Yeah, I mean, I would do that. I think the false allegations ruining lives has been wildly interesting to do. That has been really catching a lot of misogynists
But
coming
can I
in,
ask you a
for
question
sure.
about that prompt? That's like, it's true.
Yep.
It's mainly rage baity, right? Or like to draw them in.
No, it's really like at first I was not really understanding it, and then I really started thinking about it, and I kind of agree with it. false allegation, when you ask what it means false allegations on their own don't ruin lives. Now, if you add in racism, then absolutely. In fact, most examples of false allegations ruining lives are black men. Almost all the ones that are ever brought up are black men,
The
starting with
Central
Emmett
Park
Till,
Five.
and then moving Central Park Five, Brian Banks, Sean Oakman, all of these are black men. But false allegations are made against white men all the time. Nothing bad happens. So that's not false allegations, that's racism, because Emmett Till would never have been killed if he was white. Never would have been killed. And so false allegations on their own just don't ruin lives. We've looked for thousands of
The life of
examples,
white men.
and the only lives, well, yeah, so when people come up, we've talked about it, that should we just say white man? But no, we want to like educate people that it does hurt black people more. So when people come up, we just explain that to them. It's an opportunity to explain it. And then we very quickly make it clear what this really means is false allegations rarely ruin the lives of white men in America. That's what the full prompt actually is. And it's true. Like the only example, and I'm still waiting for someone to bring it up, the only examples of false allegations ruining lives is the Duke lacrosse case in early 2000s, where 3 Duke lacrosse players were accused of rape. And I'm just waiting for someone to bring that up because those 3 people, they were found not guilty and given an exoneration by the governor within a year. And each of them, all 3 of them, not only finished college, one of them went on to Wharton School of Business, the other one became a financial advisor, and the other one became a lawyer. And all 3 of them were paid $20 million for that one, for what was less than 6 months. And if you ask me right now, would I trade who I am today to be one of those Duke lacrosse players? The answer is yes. So, I've not seen a case of a false allegation. I'm sure there are cases where false allegations have ruined the lives of white men. We've not seen one yet, and we've had loads of people come up and try to give
Right.
examples.
Okay, I get it now. Because if it was just like they don't at all, then that's obviously not true. Because they have.
Yeah, I know, and we could say rarely, but the point is if that said, false allegations ruins lives, do you not agree, Atlantic? No one would come up and say, I'm sure there's been a false allegation that didn't ruin a life, because no one would read it as an absolute statement. Right? If it said false allegations ruins lives, you would not think it's saying all false allegations ruins all lives.
Right, but you know
right?
how dumb people are on this app, and
No, I know, but there's a reason why when you change it to does not ruin lives, all of a sudden people view it as an absolute.
because of the word
But why?
don't.
It's the exact same
Because
statement.
the
It's just a
word don't.
counterpositive. So, but I just said, what if it said false allegations does ruin lives? You just said that wouldn't sound
Oh
like an
yeah,
absolute
because the
statement to you.
difference is that when you say does, it does happen. Don't mean it doesn't happen at all ever, and that's the difference.
Okay, I don't view it personally as that. But I understand what you say. I don't view it personally as that. And, I think it's good because people come up and ask, but it's kind of crazy how violently people come up without even asking what does it
So like
mean.
if I were to say dogs eat pineapple, right? Or dogs do eat pineapple versus dogs don't eat pineapple. Do you see the difference there?
Yeah, I kind of see it. I wouldn't still view it as an absolute, but I can understand why it would be more of an absolute, so I totally see what you're saying.
So, all right, well, I get the topic now. I thought it was
Got it.
like, wait,
No, it's not rage bait. Like, it really is hard to find a case of a white man who's been falsely accused, who's had their life ruined. It's really been shocking. Like, because honestly, when I saw Mac put up this prompt, I was like, oh, I don't love this prompt. And now I've become a big advocate of it.
Right. I mean, that's not how she presents it, though.
No, Mac does not present it like that at all. Well, that's why Mac needs me, okay? Like, just like you do need me to some degree. Both you and Mac suck at PR. Both of you just don't care. And it's what makes a lot of people like you, but it's also why you guys get
I
in trouble a
just
lot.
stick to my truth. I don't give a fuck about anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it feels performative to me when I have to pretend.
Addie calling me a chaser? Oh, Addie, that kills me. Got the screenshot there just in case. Yeah, no, I know, like, I get it. It's just that unfortunately it just leads to all these fucking clips, and it's just, I don't
You
know how you put
ignore
up with the
them.
clips. I don't know. I know, Addie. I
Yeah,
know.
you
I
just
totally
ignore
know.
them.
I know.
Don't pay it no mind. I don't care. Because that's what they want. If you start feeding into it, they're gonna continue. If you don't care, they're gonna stop.
I do agree with that. I strongly agree with that. Oh, yeah, no, Liz, when you say screenshotting that is crazy, no. Liz, you don't understand. Because some person's going to come in and they're going to screenshot that. And so that's why I did screenshot where Addie said it's a joke. That, like, I hate that, like, I don't want people in the comments to ever worry or police themselves, but I do all the fucking time. Like, that's when people are like, I always have receipts. It's cause I'm terrified. You have no idea how many times people have come after me over the stupidest of shit. So I just record everything just in case. But it works out. It means I always have fucking proof of something, which is good. All right. Well, listen, I'm not getting nothing going, so I'm going to sign off, and I'm going to see if I can do a live later on with
I thought we were doing a
Maddie.
live later.
Appreciate you coming up.
I thought we were doing a live
Say
later.
again? Are you talking about doing a live
I
today?
mean, no. When do you want to do it?
Oh, I thought you were just going to get back to me at some point. Yeah, I won't be able to do it today. I told Mac I'm going live with her today, tomorrow, and Thursday.
Okay, I'll let you know. If anything, we can do it tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let you know.
Laters.
Talk to you later. All right. Bye. All right. Everyone in the comments, I'll leave you be. Looking through everyone who's in here right now, I'm almost not seeing anyone that I don't recognize. So I need to figure out how to get back on the FYP page. This is, while I love seeing all the friendly faces, it's just like I'm never going to get op. And like, you guys don't want to just hear me fucking ramble. Surely you guys want to see me tumble with these fucking people. So I gotta figure out a way to get on the FYP to get some fucking opposition back in. It's frustrating. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. I will go live later on today. Hope y'all